Again, from another anonymous user. We have a lease together in our names, but we also have other people who live with us. We rent the second room of an apartment. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem, but we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute. I'll just keep reading the question. Should we ask them to pay in another account? Maybe. Question. We have separate accounts and we use the joint account to pay for rent, bills, groceries, but we have just pay as we go. Should we just start transferring a certain amount every week to make it look like we are actually saving together? So, look, I think this question touches on a couple of areas. The first is how to optimize your relationship evidence when you're cohabitating with other people. So if you're a couple that live with others, how do you put across that evidence the best way to strengthen your claims of being in a de facto or married relationship, even though you're living with others? That might be the first half of this question. The second half of this question is, I believe, you're asking how to use your funds in order to pay for your half of the rent. So your funds as a couple, how do you pay for your rent in the best way possible, or the way that allows you to evidence your relationship the best? That's my interpretation of your question. I'll try to answer in that way. If I've misunderstood the question, please feel free to ask again. So to work through the question, you live with other people. Is that a problem? No, that's not a problem. Couples don't need to live solely by themselves in order to prove they're living together like a de facto or married couple. It's not about having your own house per se. It's about being able to prove that firstly you are cohabitating, and secondly that you are cohabitating and maintaining a home together. Now, your home in these types of scenarios when you live with other people is shared with others, and that's fine, but you still want to explain, particularly in your relationship statements, how you and your partner share the responsibilities of maintaining your half of that apartment or your room in that apartment. So you talk about, for all intents and purposes, your room is your home, and that you share the cooking responsibilities, you share the cleaning responsibilities. He does this, she does that, and you talk about how you live together as a couple, even though your living space is small in a sense. It's just a room in this instance, and obviously you share the communal areas with the other couple. Again, that's fine, but you just want to talk about how, despite the fact you live with people, you're still maintaining a home as a couple, and explain that in your statements. Should we ask them to pay in another account? Maybe. I'm not clear on exactly what you mean there, but it kind of to address the more important topic here is what I would recommend when it comes to optimizing your financial aspect to pay for your rent. So even though you're living with others, how do you optimize your financial setup, your structure, to pay for your rent as a couple to maximize your claims of being in a de facto married relationship? Now, what I'll do is I'll jump to my trusty whiteboard, and I will draw this, okay? So in this scenario, you have a home, okay? And we're saying that it's, let's say, split in two. You have you guys as the couple that live in that half of the room or of the apartment or the house. You have your room, and then maybe there's other people that live in the other area, the other rooms, other people live in them. So that's the scenario, right? Now, I'm not worried about how they pay for their rent. That's not relevant to your claims of being in a relationship and trying to prove it to the standard of meeting a partner visa requirement. I'm more concerned about you guys having your bank account set up properly and paying your half of the rent appropriately and being able to evidence it in the best way. And that would typically be where, let's say you're both working, okay? And there's a couple of options here, but ideally, if you would ask me what would be my preferred setup, it would be that you're both getting paid your income into your joint account, okay? So your joint account, and then you're using this joint account to pay for your half of the rent. It's not... What you've arranged with your landlord, though, may dictate how your current rental payments are made. I'm not sure if you transfer funds to these guys and then they pay the rent. You don't want to make it too messy. Ultimately, all the real estate agent's worried about is that they get, their $500 to whatever it is, $1,000 a week from this house to pay for their rent. So you should be well within your rights to just transfer your portion directly to the real estate agent from your joint account. I think where things start to get a little bit messy in this scenario is when you start transferring funds to these guys and they're the ones paying the rent from their account. Ultimately, I want you guys to be paying the rent from your joint account, whether that's the full amount after they've transferred to you and then you pay the rent, or you just pay your half directly to the real estate agent. That would be how I would recommend you organize your rental payments in this scenario. But the important thing is that it's coming out from your joint account, and you're able to show that, you know, these expenses are for your rent. You know, so you're providing your lease agreement. It shows you're both there on the lease. Yes, it's with other people, but the point is you can still show you're both there. You have your joint bank account, which shows that you're paying your rental payments every week or every month or every fortnight, whatever it is you have it set up to be. And that's how you prove that a couple are living there. Joint lease, you know, bills, mail, and rental payments from their joint account, preferably. Then what I often recommend is, you know, don't just use this account just for rent. I mean, use it for anything that relates to your relationship expenses, groceries, dinners, trips, your portion of the water bill, you know, your portion of the gas bill, your portion of the electricity bill. It's about accumulating transactional history in your joint account that relates to your relationship and living expenses primarily. That's the important component here. Then, to further maximize how you've optimized your joint financial structure, is we would recommend having multiple sub-savings accounts. So show that not only are you as a couple pooling your finances to pay for your rent together, but you're also pulling your finances to save for your futures together. Now, I suppose a little hack or recommendation that I can give you is, you know, go to your online banking portal, rename your bank accounts. You know, call one home deposit, call one wedding, call one baby, and demonstrate to the department visually that you are pooling your finances for what you hope to be large milestones in your relationship in future. That's how you show the commitment to the relationship, is what you're planning to do in the relationship. And you should be talking about all these things in your relationship statements anyway. But if you can prove what you're saying in the statements by showing you're putting a bit of money aside for those things, it's just going to be a better evidenced financial aspect in this instance. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry if I've misunderstood. If I have, please feel free to ask again, and I'll work through it.